The scream of chainsaws at dawn ripped me from sleep, a sound so alien in the quiet of Maple Grove, Oregon, that my heart lurched before my feet hit the floor. Barefoot, still in pajamas, I flung open my front door on that crisp morning in April 2024 to a scene of carnage. For majestic oaks in my yard planted by my grandfather after World War I were being butchered, their branches crashing like felled giants. Sawdust choked the air, and there, orchestrating the destruction like a conductor of chaos, stood HOA President Margaret Ellison, clipboard in hand, a coffee cup in the other, her smirk as sharp as the blades. I wasn't just horrified. I was trembling with rage, sensing something deeply wrong, something that could cost her millions. Drop a comment with where you're reading from. This tale of a man fighting a tyrant with a vendetta will hook you hard. I sprinted across the lawn, shouting at the crew to stop, my voice drowned by the roar of their saws. The foreman barely glanced my way before Margaret stepped between us, waving her clipboard like a shield of divine authority. "Full HOA approval," she declared. "These trees are a hazard." I demanded to know who decided that. "We sent a notice," she said coolly, "to your old Yahoo email. An account I hadn't touched in 7 years. No letter, no call, no knock, just a digital ghost." I told her it was a mistake, that one oak was a state-registered heritage tree. She laughed, sharp and dismissive. "Prove it." Then she yelled to the crew, "Keep cutting." Those oaks weren't just trees. They were my grandfather's legacy, planted in 1947, their roots deep in history, shading my home, sheltering birds, standing as sentinels of time. Margaret called them an eyesore. I called them family. I grabbed my phone and started recording, capturing the crew's indifference and her smugness. My neighbor, Paul, joined me, whispering that Margaret had bragged at last week's HOA mixer about teaching that tree lover a lesson. He showed me a group text where she wrote, "If Ethan loves those oaks, he can hug their stumps. They're gone Friday, tears or not." Grief turned to fury. I wasn't just a homeowner. I'd taught environmental law for 17 years, drafted tree preservation policies, and knew heritage violations could bankrupt an HOA. Margaret didn't just start a fight. She'd ignited a legal inferno. That afternoon, I rummaged through my shed, finding a 1996 state letter in a dusty file. The eastern oak was a Heritage Conservation Registry tree tied to post-war land grants. Margaret had destroyed a protected landmark with no permit. I scanned the letter, photographed it, and sent it to the State Heritage Office with my videos and Paul's texts. By evening, an agent replied, "This may be a Class A violation. Expect contact within 72 hours. My pulse raced not from pain, but from purpose. I hired an arborist, a state-trusted expert, who spent hours examining the stumps. His report was brutal. The oaks were healthy, with decades of life left, the heritage tree unmistakable. He gave me spring drone footage showing them thriving. With state records, expert testimony, and Margaret's texts, I held a legal grenade. The next day, I photographed an HOA flyer on the community board, announcing new landscaping rules, claiming the right to remove risky vegetation. Dated the day the trees fell. No vote, no signatures. My lawyer friend, Javier, laughed. "She's digging her own grave." That night, my wife, Clara, handed me tea as we sat on the porch, staring at the stumps. "She thinks she cut trees," I said. "She planted a lawsuit." The fine for one heritage tree was $250,000. Multiply that by 4, and Margaret had gutted the HOA's future. I emailed the county permit office. No removal permits existed for my address. I requested HOA records permits, minutes, votes knowing they'd stall. I called Javier, who'd won a similar case against an HOA in California. "You've got her cold," he said. "Send everything." I built a case like a fortress. Arborist report, drone footage, state registration, Margaret's texts, and a vague HOA minute from 3 weeks prior. Vegetation reduction approved absent objectiono details. No signatures. Dated the same day, she texted about the trees. I sent it to the state, who escalated to a formal investigation. Margaret's smugness faded to paranoia. She emailed residents about unified aesthetics, trying to spin the narrative. But Tom, the HOA vice president, called, exhausted, admitting he'd signed the approval under Margaret's threats of fines. He emailed a statement detailing her coercion, attaching her email, push it through. They'll thank us. Javier called it a slam dunk, hinting at jail time for forgery. Friday's HOA meeting, billed as a landscaping update, was a powder keg. The clubhouse overflowed with residents buzzing about the investigation. Margaret strode in, clutching her clipboard, launching into a speech about community standards. I raised my hand, binder in lap. She tried to dismiss me, but the crowd shouted, "Let him speak." I walked to the podium, opened my binder, and asked, "Where's the county permit for my trees?" Margaret froze. She mumbled about board authority. I laid out the truth. No permit, a heritage violation, forged documents, coerced votes. "The state's coming," I said. Silence gripped the room. Paul stood, asking, "Is this why our insurance spiked?" Margaret's control cracked. Tom rose, took the mic, and confirmed her manipulation, apologizing publicly. Gasps erupted. Then the door opened. County officers and a state agent, Lisa Chun, entered. Lisa asked Margaret to step outside. Her heels clicked out, her allies silent. The board froze her policies, called for an audit, and scheduled an election. By Monday, Margaret retaliated, dumping mulch piles on my driveway, a forged receipt in my mailbox. My security footage caught her directing the delivery, waving like a petty dictator. I sent it to Javier and Lisa. A code enforcement officer arrived, citing a fake noise complaint. I showed him the empty yard. He left, muttering about Margaret's antics. Her flyers blamed me for false accusations, but neighbors saw through it. Lisa's site visit was surgical. She photographed stumps, reviewed my evidence, and called Margaret's forged permit textbook fraud. Margaret marched over, blazer on, binder stuffed, claiming the trees were diseased. Lisa asked for the permit. Margaret handed over the fake PDF. Lisa dismissed her, leaving Margaret stunned. Neighbors whispered as she stormed off. The state's letter confirmed an investigation for heritage violations, naming Margaret for forgery. A landscaper emailed, saying she'd tried similar stunts before. He offered a statement. Margaret's desperation grew. She begged neighbors to sign a petition against me, threatening pool access. Most refused, some recorded her. Lisa said fines could hit $1 million, with criminal charges looming. The HOA meeting erupted. Margaret's speech about misinformation crumbled when I presented evidence. Tom's confession and Lisa's arrival shattered her. The board censured her, and news hit. HOA president probed for tree destruction. The HOA faced $1 million in fines, uninsured, with Margaret personally liable. Javier filed a civil suit for $260,000 in damages. Margaret's house was seized, her allies fled, and Tom won the presidency, dissolving her committees. Weeks later, New Oaks arrived, state-funded, with route trackers and experts. Neighbors grilled burgers. Kids from a school project joined. Tom apologized. I spoke of my grandfather's legacy, saying, "She didn't erase it to be stronger." An elderly woman thanked me for ending Margaret's reign. The HOA reformed open meetings, community votes, no anonymous complaints. I donated part of the settlement to conservation, upgrading my land with irrigation and a porch swing. A state plaque read, "Heritage restored, justice served." A local artist carved a bench with oak motifs, where kids now play. Margaret's house sold to a young family who promised to honor the trees. Her name faded, her tyranny a cautionary tale. Would you have fought like I did, or let it go? Have you faced a bully hiding behind rules? Did you stand up or stay quiet? Drop, yes, if you'd have taken her down. No, if you'd have walked away. Share your story. What happened when power turned petty? Hit like if this stirred you, and subscribe for more truths that hit hard. Let's keep growing.